welcome. Sorry for the delay in the video. Was having some technical difficulties. So welcome. The video will be cut into two parts so you don't have to watch an hour-long video. I will try to make them no longer than 20 minutes each. So the first video will be questions 1 to 17, and the second video will be from 18 all the way to 29. Alright, so let's get started on this wonderful video. Okay, as for the first part, you have your definitions. Please just be cognizant of what these definitions are. Anytime you see things having to do with the incenter, it has to do with the angle bisectors. And angle bisectors are equidistant. Oops, can't spell this thing. Equidistant from the sides of a triangle. And this is all in your notes. Perpendicular bisectors are equidistant to the vertices. So I don't want you to get that wrong tomorrow. I want you to know the difference. Okay, rules that are accepted without proofs are called postulates. Point, line, and this should have said plane are your three undefined terms of geometry. Those are the only three undefined terms. Two or more points are collinear if they lie on the same line. Use that as your guide. Line, same, collinear. Okay, a linear pair is formed when a ray endpoint falls on a line. So this is an example of a linear pair, and they are always supplementary. Two lines are coplanar if they lie in the same plane, and when you have two lines that are in the same plane that are coplanar that do not touch, we say that they are parallel. Alright, a statement based on observations, based on what you see, educated guesses, are conjectures. Two angles are complementary if their sum equals 90 degrees. And a perpendicular bisector is a bisector that's perpendicular to the segment it intersects. Alright, now to parallel, skew, and intersecting lines. If we look at parallel lines to GF, so if I highlight GF right here, okay, I'm going to extend it. I want to find all the lines that are parallel, which means they're coplanar, but they do not intersect. So we have CB, that's parallel to it. Also HE, that's parallel to GF. And the final one would be CA. Okay, if you look across. The only thing is it's not exactly coplanar, but it's still parallel. Alright, so those would be your answers. CA, HE, and CB. So that takes care of parallel. Now when we talk about skew lines, they do not intersect, and they're not parallel. So remember I told you earlier today what I did with this problem is I crossed out all of the things that were intersecting, and then I crossed out all the things that were parallel. So when we go to CD, AB is parallel, so it's not skew, that's why I'm crossing it out. Also HG is parallel, so that's definitely not skew. And also, it looks like FE might be parallel. So we see that it's definitely not going, those three are definitely not going to be skew. Alright, now we'll look at anything that intersects or meets with CD. So here's CD, so CG meets with it, so that's not skew. DH meets with it, so that's not skew. And then right here, CB meets with it, so that's not skew. And DA meets with it. So the only lines that actually never touch CD are going to wind up being AE, HE. And GF never touches CD. And BF. So those 4 lines never interact with CD and they're not parallel to CD. So that takes care of skew. Now the next one I told you actually had to draw your own line. So you had to draw a line from B to H, and then if you were to draw your own line, you had to see what surrounds or what intersects with it. So the first 2 lines that I noticed were AB and BF. And then the next 2 I noticed were HG and DH. So that's how you identify lines that intersect to BH, which is a line that you had to actually create. Alright, now true or false section. Coplanar means, remember, a plane that's coplanar has to be flat. So coplanar would be anything that lies on the same plane. All 4 of these lines are coplanar. So when we're looking at GF and DA, GF is here and DA is here. They don't share the same plane because GF is part of the plane of BCGF, and it's also part of the plane of GFDH. DA is not part of any of these 2 planes. So because of that, this is false. And last but not least, collinear means that they are on the same line. So A and E right now, they are collinear. But C and G are not part of the same line. So we would say that it is false. Alright, so that's 1 to 14. Look at that. We're already done with 14 questions. Just 3 more to go. Alright, this next one is talking about angle bisectors. Remember, 2 parts of an angle okay, cut by a bisector equal the whole angle. So that means if you have an angle bisector and this is x, that means that the other angle will also be x because they're equal. And that means that the entire angle is equal to 2x. So the same idea can be done here when solving this question. They told us that CSE was 8x plus 26, which tells me that because this is an angle bisector, that means this other part here should also be 8x plus 26. Now I just told you that if you combine these 2, it gives you the whole angle. So if you do 8x plus 26 plus 8x plus 26, you get 16x plus 52. So the whole angle is equal to 16x plus 52. But they told us here that the whole angle is also equal to 6x plus 72. So you can actually just set them equal to each other. So 2 times the angle that's in the part of the 2 bisected angles, 2 times that will give you that answer. So you can also do that. So now when you solve it, we find out that x equals 2. So since x equals 2, they're not asking us to solve for x. They're asking us to actually solve for ESL. Okay, since we already established earlier that ESL is equal to 8x plus 26, to solve it, you're just going to do 8 times 2 plus 26, which gives you 42 degrees. Don't forget the degree marking. Okay, so that takes care of your angle bisector question. All right, number 16, they talk about complementary angles. Complementary angles are two angles that when you add them together, okay, so if we add these two angles together, they equal 90 degrees. So they told us that this was complementary, so I know 4/9 plus 36 plus 4/3 x plus 41 has to be equal to 90. Now you know you want these to have the same denominator, so the best thing to do is to multiply this second fraction by 3. Because if I multiply the second fraction by 3, it'll allow for me to have a 9 in this denominator, where that one already has a 9 in the denominator. So this actually becomes 12x over 9, or 12 over 9x plus 41, which will get added to this. Now I know sometimes it's hard to add from left to right, so feel free to add up and down. Okay, so if you add up and down, you'll see that 4 plus 12 is 16. The 9s stay the same. 36 plus 41 is 77. And that's equal to 90. Now you have a nice two-step equation. Okay, minus 77 on both sides. 16 over 9 equals 13. Now the best way to solve this is to multiply by the reciprocal. These cancel out, and we're left with 13 times 9 over 16, which gives you 117 over 16. Okay, please, no decimals. Even in the game today, you guys were putting decimals. I think you're just being defiant. No decimals. Because what happens is this decimal is actually 7.133125. So which means I'm going to get 7.3, 7.31, 7.313. I mean, it's going to be too many different answers. At least I know if I have this answer, it's exactly the same every single time, and it never changes. All right, so then they asked us what was measure B. So you do 4/3 times 117 over 16 plus 41. And that gives you 203 over 4. Yep, 203 over 4 degrees. Now you can actually put the decimal because it's the end of the question. Okay, it's the last question. So as long as you represent this answer, and this is the answer I'm actually checking, if you feel the need so bad to put a decimal, then put this decimal afterwards. Okay, we will have plenty of time to put in decimals and learn how to round decimals. But for now, keep the fraction. Alright, last question on this video is we have 5y plus 59 is DBC. And ABD is 7y plus 13. So you notice that they form a linear pair, which means they're equal to 180. So you just add them together and make them equal to 180. So we have 12y plus 72 equals 180, minus 72 on both sides. Well, y equals 108. Divide by 12. Y equals 9. Now remember, these are never drawn to scale. So if you plug in for ABD, 7 times 9 plus 13, and you find out that's 76, your brain wants this to be the bigger angle, but it's not drawn to scale. So although we solved it and this came out to be the smaller angle, just ignore that and know that, you know, it's not drawn to scale and it probably should have went this way. Alright guys, so that concludes video number 1. So please use this, utilize this, and allow it to help you to study for tomorrow's test. Good luck.